Welcome all of you. Today we are going to discuss topics of chapter 3. In the previous lecture, we had discussed aptitude and foundational values of civil service and integrity. In this lecture, we will discuss topics like impartiality and non-partisanship, neutrality, which are very important for the civil service exam. Because in every year, questions will be asked on this. And even in the case study part also, you have to incorporate these dimensions in your answers. So, first is impartiality and non-partisanship. What is impartiality? What is non-partisanship? Non-partisanship is an attitude and impartiality is behavior. As we discussed in chapter 2, what is attitude and what is behavior? A person develops his attitude due to various factors. According to his attitude, his behavior will be manifested. So, here we are saying that non-partisanship is an attitude and impartiality is behavior. Then what about neutrality? And what about anonymity? See, I have given you one diagram where it's been clearly shown that non-partisanship is an attitude and impartiality is an behavior. And neutrality is what? Political impartiality, we say. Neutrality is political impartiality. The concept should be very clear to all of you so that you can write answers very clearly. You should have very clear cut conceptual clarity. What is neutrality? What is impartiality? Because both look like the same. Because impartiality means what? You should be impartial to everyone. You should not show any type of partiality. What is neutrality? Neutrality means you should be neutral. You should not be tilted towards any other side, either positive or negative. What we call as neutral. Neutral means neither positive nor negative. So not tilting towards any of the sides. That is what neutrality. Here, for easiness of understanding, for the sake of clarity, I have added a simplistic dimensions. Like if you see from the socio-economic dimension, as I have already told you, every time you should remember the concentric circle diagram. Like administration is surrounded by polity, polity is surrounded by society, society is surrounded by economy, etc. So here we are talking about the socio-economic dimension. What is the socio-economic cultural dimension? Because the civil servant, here we are talking about the civil services. The civil servant also comes from the same socio-cultural background, same society he will come from. So what are the various things that are existing in the society? Inequalities, socio-economic inequalities, rich versus poor, one caste versus another caste, one religion versus another religion. So, since from our childhood, we develop certain attitude based on various factors, various socio-economic, cultural factors. So, civil servant also comes from the same society, so he will have certain prejudices, certain attitudes. That is why we are saying that impartiality is very important value for a civil servant, because he should not act without any bias. Without any bias towards what? Towards socio-economic dimensions, towards a person's social status or a person's economic status. So whatever the person approaching you, whether that person is rich or poor, you should be impartial. You should show impartiality while dealing with them, while talking to them. Similarly, a person from any caste or any religion might approach you while you are being a sub-collector or collector or the superintendent of police or in any other capacity or a municipal commissioner. You should deal with them, you should deal with all the public with the same approach. That is what we are saying as impartiality. You are acting without any bias, any prejudice. What is that bias? Here we are saying it from the socio-economic dimension. Then what about neutrality? Neutrality comes under the political dimension. So for simplicity, this is what I am saying. For simplicity of understanding, I am saying that while writing answers about impartiality, you should write about the socio-economic dimension, socio-economic cultural dimension. While talking about neutrality, what we are saying, neutrality is political impartiality. What is political impartiality? See here, administration is working under the political executive. If you are a municipal commissioner, you will be working under a mayor. You are a district collector, you will be working under a minister, district minister or MLAs or MPs. So, as an administrator, you will always be working under a setup. You will be always working under a political executive. So, what we are saying about neutrality? Neutrality is political impartiality. So, you will not have any bias towards any political party or any political party in power. You will not have any affiliations. That's what we are saying. Neutrality, we are saying that you should stay away from political affiliations and serve any party coming to the power with the same enthusiasm. And what about impartiality? Act without bias of client nature or social pressure. And you all know what is anonymity. Anonymity means officers should work behind the curtain, while political executive or political bosses should get all the credit and criticism. Whenever they get criticism, they will be voted down to power, and whenever they get credit, they will be again voted to power by the public. That is what the beauty of the democracy. In the democracy, every 4 years or 5 years, the political executive will have that accountability factor where they have to face the elections and they have to win and come back to power. If they lose, they will lose their power. I hope you all understood these concepts of impartiality, non-partisanship, neutrality and anonymity. We will discuss these things in detail. See, impartiality and non-partisanship, as you all know, they are required very much in our society. That's why UPSC has included this topic in UPSC syllabus, in ethics syllabus. Why? Because as you all know, Indian society, it is divided on caste lines, religious lines, region lines, etc. and so on. So, civil servant is also coming from the same society. So, he might be belonging to a particular caste, particular class, particular religion, particular region. So, if he remains conscious of those parameters, what he will do? He will make certain biased decisions. And he might treat whatever the public approaching him or her based on his or her socio-economic status. That's what we are saying. You might have seen so many cases, so many instances, so many news clippings have appeared in the media that some of the civil servants have treated certain people in this way, or he or she has made certain biased decisions. Why they are happening? Because of our society. Because Indian society is divided on so many parameters, so many lines. So, civil servant is not different to all those things because he is coming from the same society. He is writing UPSC exam and he is clearing the UPSC exam, or he or she might be clearing some other state civil services exam, and they are entering the bureaucracy, they are entering the administration. So definitely they will have certain biases, certain prejudices. But what we are saying, once you enter the administration, you should have impartial behavior. Again I am saying you, impartiality is behavior and non-partisanship is attitude. You should deal with all sections of public similarly, in a equal way. You should give equal treatment to everyone, and you should make rational decisions. Rational decision means without any bias. And what is happening? Even if certain officers, certain administrators are corrupt or lazy, and on those corrupt officers, if any action is being taken, what they are saying? They are blaming their superiors. What they are blaming? They are blaming their superiors of discrimination on caste lines, regional lines, religion lines, etc. and so on. We have seen so many examples. I have quoted one example here, but that is not a single example. You can write so many examples based on the recent current affairs. Maybe this example may be a old example, but you can write your own examples based on the current affairs. What is that example? In Devayani Cobra Gada, she is an IFS officer, Indian Foreign Service officer. You all know, you might all know her case, or you can search in the internet for her case. She was her case led to tensions between India and US, some diplomatic tensions, and after that it was sorted out. So in that case, her father, not his father, she is a lady, her father alleged she is been victimized because she is a Dalit. So whatever things you are doing, your own capacity, his or her own capacity, that is being attributed to a caste. If any criticism is happening, in her case, certain criticism has been happened that she was paying lesser wages to her maid. But in her visa application, in the visa application form of her maid, she has shown very higher charges, that she is paying very high charges, very high wages to her maid. But that is not the case. She was paying very lesser wages to her maid, but in her maid's visa application form, she had shown that she has been paying very high wages to her maid. So to that extent she got certain personal criticism. But what her father is alleging that okay, we belong to a certain caste, we belong to a Dalit caste. So that is why we have been victimized by the government, by the society, etc. That is what we are saying. Every action of a civil servant will be seen from a certain angle. Okay, he is favoring certain person. Okay, maybe that person might belong to his caste. Okay, he is regularly allowing certain persons to interact with him. A certain person regularly or frequently visits his office. Okay, maybe he belongs to his region, or maybe he belongs to his religion. That's why he is allowing frequent visits, etc. and so on. That is why, for a society like India, the civil servant should have this value. He should have impartiality. Then only he can make rational decisions. He can act without any biasness. That's what we are saying. Next is neutrality. What about neutrality? We have seen neutrality is political impartiality. So political impartiality means you should be politically neutral. You should serve all the political parties coming to the power with the same enthusiasm. You should not have any political affiliation. That's what we are saying. Officer must not take part in politics. He should not have any political ambition. He must not take part in politics. This is the conduct rules. Civil services conduct rules, CCS rules. And next point, officers are expected to cooperate with any political party in power. He must not allow his political values or ideology to interfere in day-to-day work. Yes, as a civil servant, as a human being, as a person with knowledge, you might have certain opinions, certain ideologies, certain value system, certain political values, but that should not interfere. Maybe based on your knowledge, maybe you want more of a development. You want more development. You must, maybe you might be of the opinion that government should spend most of its expenditure on building roads, building highways, building ports, etc., and so on. So your government should spend more on development works. But if certain political party came to power in your state and that political party is spending more on welfare, you may not like that approach, but you should not allow your ideology. You should not allow your ideology to interfere in day-to-day work. Whatever the task has been assigned to you, you are the MD of a certain corporation, or you are the some secretary of a certain government department, and you have been given a task of distributing the welfare benefits, distributing the money into the beneficiaries' accounts. You should do it without anything in your mind. That's what we are saying. He must faithfully implement. You should implement whatever the task that has been assigned to you by your superiors, or by your government, or whatever the party that is running the government. He or she must faithfully implement the public policies even if they are contrary to his beliefs. For example, I have given you one example of welfare versus development. I hope you all understand the concept of neutrality. Neutrality is political impartiality. So you should not be affiliated to any political party. So these are the conduct rules. So as you all know, administration and politics. So all administrators work under a certain political setup, maybe at the state or at the center or at the local bodies. So what here is happening? Political executive might change after every 4 or 5 years. But what about the administration? Administration is running. Administration is constant. Administration is manned by civil servants who retire at the age of 60 only. Once they enter, they will serve. They have their continuity. But political executive will not have continuity. So whosoever the political party coming to the power, they will utilize this existing administrative machinery to fulfill their election promises made to the public or people. So there should be certain trust between political executive and administrator. So there should be trust. Then only. So what is the trust? Trust is that both sides the trust should be there. Political executive should have the trust that yes, administration is neutral. Whatever the task I will assign to them, they will faithfully do it. That is the trust. That is the trust from the political executive side. And whatever the trust from the administration, yes, whomsoever the political party will come to the power, they will trust me. They will not unnecessarily harass me. So what is happening these days? Nowadays, the trust is lost. What we are saying is, nowadays, the trust between the political executive and the administration is lost. Why? Because today what has happened is that politicization of bureaucracy. The thing that have happened is politicization of bureaucracy. So, whomsoever be the government of the day, the administration is hearing to their direction without any independent thinking, without any rationality. So they are purely acting with bias. They are purely acting, administration or administrators are purely acting to satisfy their bosses, to satisfy the political executive. Why? For the postings, for the transfers, as you all know, or maybe in certain cases, maybe for money. See, political executives' confidence in civil services after the regime is changed. If there is lack of mutual trust, both cannot work for larger interests. If there is a tussle, then ultimately who will be affected? Whole development will be affected. Whole public will be affected. So therefore, as you all can see that the trust is lost these days. Therefore, after every election, what is the new ruling parties are doing? Mass transferring the officers from previous regimes. This is more or less same in every state across India. When a government changes, mass transferring the officers is happening. Why that is happening? Because of politicization of bureaucracy. So whatever be the bureaucrat, whatever whomsoever are the administrators of the day, administrators are. So all the administrators are acting with a bias. So what is that bias? They are showing affiliation to their political bosses. Why they are showing their affiliation to the political bosses? Maybe for money, first thing. Maybe for to have good posting, second thing, transfers. So this is self understood by everyone, by all of us, because we all know the existing administrative and political setup across all the states. In all the states, it is more or less the same. That is why the Supreme Court of India has commented these things. All the 4 points, these are the comments from the Honorable Supreme Court. What Supreme Court is saying? Supreme Court is saying that Indian bureaucracy has become a spineless structure. Otherwise, as it is contrary to the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's vision that it should be a backbone of the democracy. It should be a iron steel frame. Sardar Patel has envisaged civil service as the iron steel frame. It is the backbone of democracy. Because political executive might change. They might change after every 5 years or every 4 years. But what about bureaucracy? Bureaucracy is permanent. It is permanent iron steel frame. So, Supreme Court of India has commented that Indian bureaucracy has become a spineless structure that cannot stand up to an unethical pressure by the executive or the moneyed in the society. So, what is this executive? Executive is a political executive. So, as an administrator, every day you will be under various pulls and pressures. What are those pulls and pressures? It might come, the pressure might come from your political boss, or the pressure might come from an industrialist, businessman, corporates. As you all know, there is a nexus between political executive and corporates. Because corporates are funding the elections, and after winning the election, political executive wants to do certain favors to those corporates who have funded his or her election. So there is a nexus between both of them, and they are creating a pressure on administrator. And what the administrator is doing, he is not able to withstand those pressures. That's why Supreme Court has commented that bureaucracy has become a spineless structure. Civil servant independence in the country is at best nominal. What is that independence? That's what we are saying. In a political context, we are saying it as a neutrality. You should be neutral. You should not have any political affiliation. You should serve whatever the political party. He or she should give rational, unbiased decisions to the political executive, whomsoever party is running the government. But what is happening? Civil servant independence is at best nominal. So then what Supreme Court is saying? Supreme Court is saying that A honest civil servant can bank on the court if injustice has been done by unfair executive. So Supreme Court is saying that you act independently. We are there. We will support you. We will save you. But you act independently. You should be neutral in all the times. You should be impartial all the times. If any such thing happens, if any injustice has happened to you, then we are there to protect you. Even Supreme Court has also commented that signs of defiance are brought with such serious consequences that even the most courageous civil servant thinks many times before turning down any unethical or illegal direction from political executive. There are many cases where severely, certain bureaucrats have been severely crushed. They had to face departmental actions. They have to face many legal problems. Why they had to face legal problems? Because they were courageous in discharging their duties. They said no to certain unethical, illegal directions from their bosses, from their political executives. They have said no, sir, we can't do it because it is against my values. It is against my civil services conduct rules. What civil service conduct rules are teaching you? You should be impartial. You should be neutral. You should pay allegiance to constitutional values. What are those constitutional values? Justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, etc. and so on. So, what we are saying is that today that neutrality is in danger. We have seen in the previous slides that why it is in danger. One factor is election and corruption. I have already told you that ministers or any political executive needs lot of money to finance their campaigns. So, who are funding their campaigns? Corporates are funding their campaigns, and when these people are coming to the power, they are helping the corporates by giving them certain favors. So, for doing all those things, for giving certain favors to certain people, so they don't like any officer who gives free and frank advice. That is one thing. Next is in-service and intra-service rivalry. So in each government service, whatever be that service, you all know there are services like IAS, IPS, IRS, etc. In each government service, there are various factions based on language, religion, caste, region. We have discussed this aspect because India is a peculiar society where there is various divisions, various factions based on language, religion. This you will see everywhere in our society. So definitely it will be in administration. So what these people are doing to gain promotions and perks for their faction, they would bend to the wills of politicians. This is second point. And third point is certain individuals. Maybe they will think that if they collude with the politician, then they will also get some money. They will also get some certain benefits. So they will align with the political executive. And they will do whatever their political bosses asks them to do. Whether it is unethical, whether it is illegal, they will not see. They will just carry out the orders of their political bosses. Why? They want money, they want benefits, they want packs, they want certain postings, etc. So first Administrative Reforms Commission, what it has observed? It has observed that IAS has lost its enthusiasm and vigor. They are ready to do anything and everything for reward or fear of transfer. So if such things are happening, if there is a politicization of bureaucracy, where bureaucrats are aligned with the political executive, they are acting with a biasedness towards whatever be the political party in power, then it is a threat to the democracy. It is against the foundational values of civil service. What is the foundational values of civil services? Neutrality, impartiality, non-partisanship. So it is against those foundational values. So I hope all of you have understood these concepts very clearly, because if you have very clear-cut conceptual clarity only, then you can write the best answers, you can attempt case studies very well. So I hope the concepts of impartiality, neutrality, and various dimensions of the relation between administrator and politician, I hope you all have understood. The concepts are very clear to all of you. That's it for today. And if you have any doubts or clarifications, you can feel free to mail me. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you all.